IT team subscribers and students who are interested in law. We are so happy to start our interview with Mr. Carlos Martinez, and I'm so happy to do this interview today. Thank you so much for coming to the interview. Yes.
Thanks to you for inviting me. You know, it's a great activity, and I'm ready to answer all your questions.
Thank you. So I will introduce about our team. Westerord IT and robotics startups team is a robotics team which focuses to doing new technologies, innovations in Uzbekistan to make a sustainable world here. And we would like to work, of course, do many things for our future generation, of course. So this interview will be about 45 minutes to 1 hour long. If possible, you can talk louder so that it will be good, of course. And those questions were given by our subscribers. So can you please give a brief introduction about yourself for our subscribers?
All right. I'm a lawyer. I graduated from one very small university in the northwest of Spain, and then soon after graduating I moved into the UK, in London, because before I entered the university in Spain, I lived in London when I was 18, and I was also always very, very interested in the way that things were done in the UK. You know, for me, London was at the beginning, it was like a big mystery, and then it became my hometown. You see the way things were doing, the level of research, universities, people, the language, the customs, everything was beautiful from my point of view. I come from a very, very small area in Spain. So the possibility for me to move to London was like a dream, and then it became like a great experience. And then from there I met my wife. She's from Uzbekistan, and we decided to come to Tashkent to teach. So that's basically what I've done.
Thank you so much. Of course, we're so happy. And the next question. I mean, the first question was given by Akmal. He's our subscriber, and he was really interested in law and politics, of course. What inspired you to pursue a career in law?
All right. The first idea that brought me into studying law was the idea of justice. You see, I come from a mining area. The rights of workers, the necessities of working class people was moving me a lot. So I thought entering the university I could help these people, and I could do something great. You know, I was having dreams and great expectations about the university, the education I could get there to become a lawyer, and then people could benefit from my law degree. So that was the main idea, the idea of justice.
Thank you, of course. This inspiration will be motivation for our subscribers who will be happy, of course. And the next question is, what motivated you to move from the field of taxation to managing and research in London?
All right. That was funny because I was studying law most of my life, but I could never practice. I could never see in reality what the immediate effect of my studies. And I had the opportunity of working for a big company in London. The name was Ferrero, is still operating in London. And I was interested in moving into taxation because my dream at that time was to work for the stock exchange. You see, I started studying law because of the idea of justice, and then slowly, when I moved to London, I wanted to experiment in different fields. All right. And while I was studying in London, I was working part-time in a chain of bookshops. It was a very small company. We only had like 8-10 shops in central London. And I became friends with the management, and then when I was ready to work as a tax lawyer, and they offered me the possibility of becoming the manager of one of the shops. And I thought it was better for me at that time, because I like the atmosphere of a small company. All of us, we were friends. We were moving fast. Money wasn't important for me at that time, and I was with them for 8 years.
Thank you. Of course, the next question will be given by Kahraman Rashanov, and I will do this work. So yeah, you can.
Well, can you share a particularly memorable experience from your time teaching Spanish language and literature at the Faculty of Spanish at Uzbek State University of World Languages?
Okay. The most beautiful time for me when I was working there, I had access to the library. I remember that I was just searching through the books, and I found the history of Spanish literature from the Soviet Union point of view, and that was great, because I never thought that great Spanish writers like Alberti or Juan Ramon Jimenez, which were my idols at that time. We could have an understanding from a different point of view, you see, from the point of view of the Soviet Union. And then I started studying and researching on many writers, Spanish writers, and I was just basically mixing the ideas and the teaching from Spain into the teaching of the Soviet Union. All right.
Okay. So the next question: how did you first become involved in teaching at the University of World Economy and Diplomacy?
All right. When I used to come to Tashkent from London, my wife was doing a PhD at the University of World Economy and Diplomacy. So I was coming on holiday sometimes for 3 weeks. She was attending classes, doing her PhD. And just to kill some time, I used to go to the Spanish department of the university. I became friends with the teachers. And then when we decided to come to Tashkent permanently, the teachers told me that they never had a native speaker. So that was the reason. I was a volunteer, and I became a Spanish teacher for them. And it was a great experience, because it was the first time that the University of World Economy and Diplomacy won the Olympiad in the Spanish. My student Aziz was the winner. It was great, an amazing experience.
I hope that everyone was happy at this situation. Every professor.
Yeah, everyone was happy, because we were competing with the University of World Languages, Oriental Studies, and everyone thought that the Spanish department at the University of World Economy and Diplomacy was very weak. And it wasn't weak at all, and we won.
Yes, of course. It was motivation to keep working, of course. Yeah, you can ask the next question, Kahraman.
Okay. How did your experience teaching at the Management Development Institute of Singapore in Tashkent differ from your previous teaching roles?
All right. Management Development Institute of Singapore, MDIS, is a completely different university. And it's one of the greatest universities in Uzbekistan. Together with Mr. University or with International Agricultural University. The teaching in MDIS is completely different, because you are not in charge 100% of the of the teaching. You are depending on module leaders from Singapore, and all the exam questions, they come from Singapore, and you never get involved with the assessment process. So that was interesting. And at the same time, the handouts, the materials, the books provided from Singapore, they were very thorough. Basically, everything was there. So good students willing to learn, they had all the opportunities in that university. Plus the rector, Jasulaka, Dr. Salikov, is a great person and probably one of the best teachers I ever met in my entire life.
Well, so the next question, how do you balance your roles as a teacher, lawyer, and honorary consul?
All right. Basically, I have 3 jobs. All right. Starting from the last one, being the honorary consul is an honor for me. I work for the Spanish community. I don't get paid for it, but I'm doing things for my country. It's not a problem. And most of the work I've done it online or keeping in touch with the Spanish community. We are like 55 people here. As a lawyer, it's very simple. I don't have many clients. I keep a very friendly relationship with them, and I'm just trying to be organized to avoid going to court. So basically, I'm in charge of the whole process. I'm looking after my clients. We never had any drastic measures that someone is taking us to court or we are litigating. Everything is done in a friendly, very well organized way. Teaching at the university is not a problem for me. I love teaching. For example, I'm doing now introduction to European Union law, and it's my major. I'm a specialist in this field, so it's not a problem at all.
Thank you so much. Of course, next question was given by students who pursue law, and they would like to ask this question from you. What advice would you give to someone pursuing a career in law or international diplomacy?
All right. My first advice is like choose a good university. So basically, if you want to study law in Uzbekistan, my advice would be go to Westminster University. I think they have the best teachers, amazing local staff, genuine foreign teachers. The system is very good, it's fair, and the law faculty is not very big. It's like 100 students. The level of English is very high. So that would be my advice if someone wants to become a lawyer. If you want to become a diplomat, the best choice is going to the University of World Economy and Diplomacy, because they will prepare you for this field.
Thank you. As students are not more than 100, that's why the focus and attention is high. Yes. So the next question, can you share a particularly memorable experience from your time as an honorary consul of Spain and Uzbekistan?
All right. I became the consul when we had the beginning of the pandemic. Everyone was very stressed. The Spanish community was quite big at the time. We were 80 people living in Uzbekistan, in Tashkent mainly, and most of them, they wanted to go back to Spain. So it was great to be able, thanks to the Uzbek authorities, to put most of them in airplanes. They were chartered flights, humanitarian flights, supported by Uzbekistan Airways. And it was great when they could go back to Spain and to be there with the families. That was amazing. I remember one case, we had 8 Spanish tourists, they were doctors. They just came to see Uzbekistan, they were in Samarkand, That was the beginning of the pandemic, and they couldn't go back to Spain. And they were anxious to go back to Spain because they wanted to work in hospital to save lives. So thanks to Uzbekistan Airways, we took them to Spain, and I'm still keeping in touch with them.
Thank you so much. So the next question will be given by Kahraman, the 13th question. So I wanted to say that we are happy that you are in Uzbekistan. We always meet professors and people like you help to strengthen not only Uzbekistan and Spain relationship. So thank you so much, and you can ask a question.
So, how do you work to strengthen the relationship between Spain and Uzbekistan in your role as Honorary Consul?
My role right now basically is taking care of the Spanish community here. You see, last week someone couldn't leave Uzbekistan because there was a problem with his passport. Sometimes there are domestic problems to renew a passport. You know, all these small technicalities that I'm taking care of. In terms of putting Uzbekistan and Spain together, we have now an antenna, a diplomatic antenna in Tashkent, and they are doing the job. Tomorrow we are going to have the Spanish-Uzbek Forum of companies coming into Tashkent. We did it previously, before coronavirus, and we are starting again tomorrow. And this idea is going to bring Uzbekistan and Spain together. Hopefully, I would say that in maximum maybe 1 year time, we are going to open the Spanish embassy in Tashkent. All right.
Thank you so much. You can ask the next question.
Okay. Can you tell us about the time when your language skills were particularly useful in a legal or diplomatic context?
All right. Unfortunately, I only speak 3 languages. All right. I wish I could speak Russian and Uzbek. But in many occasions, I've been helping Spanish tourists in Uzbekistan, for example, using my level of English. This is happening basically all the time. You see, don't forget that in Spain, it's very rare to meet people who can speak more than 1 language. So it's not like in Uzbekistan or most of the countries in the world right now. You see, where basically everyone speaks English. In Spain, we're still a bit limited with languages.
So the next question, how has your experience living and working in Uzbekistan influenced your perspective on law and diplomacy?
All right. My experience living in Uzbekistan has been always positive. You see, and I look at Uzbekistan, I've seen Uzbekistan, the way you've been developing for the last 25 years. There is room for improvement, you see, but you are moving step by step, slowly but surely. And that amazes me because in 30 years ago, you were part of the Soviet Union, and now you are part of an open market economy, and you've been achieving these changes without being aggressive, without killing anyone. So that proves that through diplomatic means it's possible to make drastic changes in society.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Yes, of course. The next question was given by Honorary, and he's very interested in law. He's studying at 11th grade, and so Kahraman can ask the 17th questions that was given.
Okay. Can you discuss the challenges and opportunities of working in a country with a different legal system than your own?
All right. The Uzbek legal system is part of the civil law legal system, so it's not very different from the Spanish legal system. You have particularities in terms of general principles of law or traditions. But apart from that, The law is created in Uzbekistan in parliament, like in Spain. So I never saw big changes or dramatic changes between countries. You have an amazing legal system. You have Pakistan, for example, Article 70 to 75 of the 1992 Uzbek Constitution. You have amazing articles like Article 62 of the Constitution, where Uzbekistan is just a secular state. You are, according to the Constitution, a democratic republic. You respect, according to the Constitution, human rights, the rule of law, and all these amazing articles make the Uzbek Constitution a legal body which is alive and is developing slowly. You see, no one can pretend to achieve the goals of the Uzbek Constitution in a short period of time. You see, but I think you've done quite well considering, and I'm happy regarding your progress.
Thank you so much for answering this question. So, as you know, you say that you work at three different jobs, and of course, sometimes you need to have focus to other things as well. Can you share about your experience, how you manage the time?
All right. Well, basically, when I'm at the university, I'm teaching and I'm preparing my lessons. So this time is only for the university. You see, working for the Spanish community, I can get a telephone call or I can get an online messages, and I try to answer when I get home. And then, as a lawyer, my clients, they know that I'm available only at certain times. So if they call me, they give me like 2 or 3 days notice, then I can arrange meetings in the evenings or during the weekend. So it's just a matter of being organized.
Thank you so much. You can ask the next question.
Okay. So how do you approach teaching complex legal concepts to students who may have limited legal backgrounds?
All right. Nobody's perfect, you see. For example, this semester, we started with an introduction to law. I knew that our students didn't have any legal background, so I started from the beginning with the small or unclear legal concepts. You see, so basically I'm adjusting my modules to the level of understanding of my students. Now I'm teaching European Union law. It's a bit complex because the topic is complex, but through repetitions, through creating different activities, I'm sure that before the end of the semester, our students are going to be able to understand the importance of the European Union and the importance of the cooperation with Central Asia.
So the next question, can you share a particularly rewarding experience from your time teaching law or diplomacy to students?
Yes, it was very rewarding to find out that students, for example, when I was teaching contract law, students started seeing law as something not too abstract. You see, everyone is contracting every day. From the moment you just buy your metro ticket or your bus ticket, or when you buy lunch at the canteen. You see, so it was very rewarding to see that the students saw law for the first time as something accessible, something that it wasn't very difficult to understand.
Thank you.
Okay, the next question will give you my friend Asad Bek.
Yes, thank you so much for answering this question. Can you discuss any current trends or developments in international law that you find particularly interesting in the plot?
Yeah, regarding European Union law, for example, we have something called the connectivity project. It's a project created by the European Union to get more involved with the Central Asian countries. I found it particularly interesting because the European Union is not a political organization. It's just a market. I'm sure that Uzbekistan and all the 5 republics in Central Asia, they could just benefit connecting with this idea of the European Union as a market. I'm sure we can benefit from each other without any problems.
Yes, of course. Thank you so much.
So the next question, it relates to stealing someone's ideas. So, what resource does someone have if their idea or project is stolen by someone else in the technology industry?
All right. This is intellectual property law. If you can prove that the idea belongs to you, you have all the rights to commercialize this idea, and the tribunals, they are supporting you. You see, you have to patent your idea, you have to go to the registry office, you have to try to make everything legal. You see, the problem arises when people never register the ideas. If you don't register your ideas, you are not protected by the law. All right. So it's very important to follow the regulations covering intellectual property law.
So, thank you so much. What do you think is the most important quality to a lawyer to possess?
For a lawyer, okay. I think the most important quality is trying to avoid, at all costs, taking your client into court. You see, it's like the best doctor is the one that prevents you from going to hospital. So the best lawyer is the one that prevents you from litigating, resolving a particular issue in court. Yeah, to be able to do that, the lawyer has to be a good mediator and must have a very good understanding of legal issues and convincing both parties. You see, so a good lawyer is the one that can make people compromise and reaching agreements without fighting or litigating in court.
So then, how do you approach to having a relationship with your clients?
Okay, firstly it's a very friendly approach, a very professional approach at the same time. You see, my clients, they know that they have to tell me in advance their expectations, and they have to trust me. You see, doing things like that, we create a very nice environment. You see, where things can be done without getting into dramatic situations. You see, my clients, they ask me for advice in the short term or in the long term, and I always try to avoid any type of conflict.
So, of course, there may be some difficulties. What do you think are the biggest challenges facing the legal profession as of today?
All right. The biggest challenge I'm experimenting now is that sometimes I have to deal with several jurisdictions. So I can be dealing with people in the UK or in Singapore, Turkey, Tashkent, and sometimes the regulations are different from country to country. You see, it's going to be a big challenge that one day we could have the same laws covering contract, for example, or registering companies or taxation. You see, we are working on it. You see.
Yes, I hope that everything will be okay, of course. We can ask the next question and
So,
for technical things.
okay. So the next question: how can companies and individuals can protect their intellectual property in the technology industry?
All right. As I told you before, you can have a great idea, but you need to be covered by the law. And the only possible way is to register your ideas in the different offices you have all over the world to have your patent legalized. You see, pretending that the law is going to protect you when the law doesn't know who was the intellectual owner of the idea. It will be very complicated. So the only possible way is to follow the rules and always register your ideas. Copyright.
So can you discuss any recent changes or developments in the legacy system that you find particularly interesting for yourself and important, of course?
Okay. As I told you before, this idea of connectivity between the European Union and Central Asia is great. Then, apart from that, any changes incorporating new technologies into the civil society, as simple as the possibility of voting for general elections online. You know, there are things that we need to achieve very, very soon, because the world is moving, it's changing, you see. And regarding, for example, in our university, the safety of food, livestock, feeding animals, all these important issues that we do and we experiment every day, they need to be covered by the law.
Yes.
You see, and we are moving slowly, but we are moving. And anything related to safety the well-being of humans and animals also right now. It's happening in Spain. I think it's a great success, a great achievement.
So how do you balance the ethical considerations of representing clients with potentially conflicting interests?
All right. I would never give the wrong advice to my client. Never. You see, if a client is asking me about taxation in a particular country, I will research the issue and I will give the right information. I will never try to avoid the legality of any questions presented by my client. So basically I'm following the rules. And if you do that, it's very difficult that you could be into trouble.
Yes, of course. It is very important. We can ask you the next question.
Okay. Can you discuss any legal issues related to artificial intelligence and machine learning in the technology industry?
All right. This area of expertise is not mine.
So,
as I told you before, there are legal achievements all the time, especially in the European Union, because the European Union is a market, and the Commission is run by experts. So the legal department of different commissioners is enacting, is just drafting technical legislation. But I'm not an expert on this field.
of course. As you know, there may be some difficulties when working with clients. So can you describe a particularly difficult client you have worked with and how you handled this situation?
Okay, I never had any difficult clients, you see. In many occasions, particular potential clients, they asked me to do something that I wasn't willing to do. So there was no a contractual working relationship, you see. If you want to become my client and you want me to give you the wrong advice, it's better that you go to someone else.
Yes, of
So
course.
that's why I've never had any problematic clients.
Yeah, I'm happy that you have good education background and it helped you to keep a successful work without any kind of difficulties working with clients. So, can you discuss any strategies for maintaining a healthy work-life balance in the legal profession?
All right. First, you need to know the law. You see, when a client is asking for some advice, you need to have this legal background behind you. So every time you're answering one question, you need to know that everything is printed and the law is covering this particular idea. All right. And apart from that, you just need to be very organized. You see, usually practice makes you almost perfect. You see, clients usually they ask the same questions, and through the years you are developing these answers slowly.
Yes, of course. And thank you so much. And as you know, Valerie has been over 30 minutes of this interview, so we would like to give information for others who join it. And there are so many people who joined us today. For new people, so I would say that today is our interview with Mr. Carlos Martinez, an honorary consul of Spain in Uzbekistan, and also lecturer at many universities in Uzbekistan. So we hope that you will be keeping giving questions, and the next question, if I'm not mistaken, 23rd one, will be given by Kahramonovshan.
What do you think are the biggest misconceptions people have about the legal system in Uzbekistan?
All right. To answer that question, we have to move into stereotypes. You see, before I knew anything about Uzbekistan, my thoughts they were going to the RRC, to Samarkand, Bukhara. Then I came to Uzbekistan on holiday. I was associating the idea of Uzbekistan to the Soviet Union, Plov, you see, and I wasn't paying much attention to very important issues in Uzbekistan. For example, the variety of people living here, you see, and how well you live together. You see, you can be a Tatar, you can be Russian, you can be Uzbek, Tajik, you can be Uyghur. That Uzbekistan as a country is making enough room for everyone. All right. Then I was very, very much impressed by the education system. You see, coming from the Soviet Union, especially at the lowest level, like kindergarten, primary school, secondary school, everything was very organized. Then I was very surprised also that most of my students in any classroom, they can speak minimum 3 or 4 languages. You see, it makes me sad now seeing that some students don't speak Russian. I think we have to resolve this issue. You see, you are lucky that you can have 3 or 4 languages. Please never go down. You see, keep that level. You see, if you go to Spain, it's going to be very difficult to find students at university level that they can speak more than 1 language. In Uzbekistan, it's not like that, and I was surprised. Then the level of sports in school, then how respectful you are in terms of religion. You know, you can be very religious, but religion is not an issue in here. And then I really appreciated all these ideas. Some of them, they were coming from the Soviet Union. Some of them, they are part of your nature, with your understanding of life.
Thank you so much for answering. Yes, as you know that high school students also need to have good networking, relationship with other people, and to keep working. Also, university students. But what about lawyer? How do you keep good relationship and networking with other people in the legal system?
All right. Well, it depends on how big you want to become. You see, there are very important international legal firms in Uzbekistan. There are very good local firms in Uzbekistan. And then you have many good lawyers that they prefer to work independently. They don't have many clients, and they are practicing law without great expectations regarding numbers of clients. You see, at the end of the day, you want to provide a good service. And if you want to become big, you need to have a large infrastructure. You see, and at this time of my life, I'm not prepared to do that. You see, I prefer to work on my own, having my own resources.
So, how do you handle situations where you disagree with the client's actions or decisions?
All right. It's never as drastic as that. You know, the client is asking me for some advice. I get all the information from the client. I do some research, and then I present the final work to the client. You see, at the end of the day, the client could ask me to carry on, to do what I'm presenting and suggesting. You see, I've never been into the situation that the client is asking me for something that I'm not prepared to do.
Yes.
You see, but I always do a very good thorough research before I give any advice.
Yes, of course, you may work in such situations, but what about these situations? So can you discuss any particularly memorable or impactful cases you have worked on?
All right. As a lawyer, it's part of the ethical rules. I'm not allowed to discuss any issues regarding my clients. But one of the great experience in my life was when I was helping my father. All right, a big electrical multinational was trying to charge my father, who was just a small businessman. They were trying to overcharge for electricity for the last 10 years. You see, claiming that my father didn't pay the right amount of money. So in this situation, I just sent a single letter to the electrical company, and I won the case without going to tribunals, because I knew the law, I knew they were doing something bad, and I explained quite clearly that they were not allowed to touch my father. All right, and I told them that the legal consequences of touching my father, they were going to be terrible for them, and we didn't need to go to court.
Yes.
They understood. The problem was that many people, like my father, suffer the same type of letters, intimidating letters from this company. And some of them, they just paid, you see. But in that situation, I was helping my father, and I was very happy.
Yes, of course, helping in this case is very important. Thank you so much.
I'm telling you that because my father is my father, but I wouldn't comment on any clients I have.
Yes, that's okay, of course. So, how do you approach managing the expectations of your clients?
All right, just telling them the truth. You see, sometimes it's possible to give a variety of different ways of how to achieve a particular goal, and then it's up to the client to decide how to do it or not how to do it, if they want to carry on or not. So my expectations, they are always for the benefit of my clients. You see, if I present step by step ways to do things, you know, the client usually, I told you before, there must be trust between the lawyer and the client, and in most of occasions they follow my advice, because my advice sometimes is don't go that way.
Yes.
Don't do that. All right. or if you want to do it, you have to do it this way. So after I said that, my client would never ask me to do what I'm advising not to do,
Yeah.
because I wouldn't do it. All right.
That's okay, of course. So, Kahraman, then
Okay. Can you tell us about your involvement in the Erasmus Mundus project?
All right. Yeah. I was involved in the Erasmus Mundus project many years ago. I would say like 15 years ago in Westminster University. I was working together with Victoria Lewinsky. And then I liked the idea of promoting Europe outside Europe. And I saw many students participating from Uzbekistan, many teachers from Westminster University, they went to Europe. Some of them, they went to Spain to pursue their PhD degrees. So that was very, very interesting. But my involvement was just in a very, very administrative role. You see, I never participated in a teachers' exchange or I gave reference letter to many students, and I was advising them on how to choose the right university in Europe. But I was a bit limited at that time.
So, next question. Can you tell us about the people that you meet in your life, famous people?
Famous people, all right. Once I was your age. I was in London. I was studying in London, and I was working in a pizza restaurant, Pucci Pizza. And then Mario Vargas Llosa, who is the most important Spanish writer, he's from Peru. He won the Nobel Prize. He just passed by. I remember coming out of the restaurant and saying hello to him, and talking, and he was very friendly, and that was great. I've met many famous people in London. Now I'm meeting important politicians from Spain every now and then when they come to Spain. Mr. Borrell was the last person I've met. Tomorrow I'm going to meet 3 very important people from Spain. They're coming to the Spanish Uzbek conference at the International Hotel. Yeah, I could say that the most interesting person I've met in my life was Mario Vargas Llosa.
Thank you so much. So I will ask the next question. Can you discuss any strategies for avoiding burnout in the legal profession?
Okay. If you follow the rules, you see, if you are not doing anything illegal, you see, then you wouldn't have any problems. If you try to avoid the law, especially in avoiding to register the company, avoiding to pay taxes, avoiding to work without working contracts. You see, if you are very straightforward and then you follow the rules, then you wouldn't have any problems. You wouldn't encounter any unlawful situations. I think it's just a matter of legal integrity. You see, sometimes you have several options to resolve a particular issue, but it has to be done always according to the law. You see, and if you do it like that, no one will ever take you to court, which is the worst scenario, that you have to litigate and you are depending on the decision of the judge. You see, it's time consuming and it's very stressful. And clients don't like it. And if you are a good lawyer, you always try to avoid this dramatic situation.
Thank you so much. So I will be given the next 2 final questions. So as you know, sometimes being a student of School of Law at any kind of university all over the world is maybe challenging. So what you can advise for students pursuing pursuing the law in their university?
All right. First, my advice would be choose a good university. All right. I told you before that in terms of law, the best university in Uzbekistan is Westminster University, the law faculty. Then, at the same time, you are obviously if you are studying at Westminster International University, it means that you are going to become an international lawyer. So you are going to need to be able to use different languages when you are working, and then you have to manage working with different jurisdictions. Usually USA, UK, European Union, China, Japan, Korea. Okay, so that would be my first advice. Choose the right university. Be able to speak different languages, and then you might need to specialize in one point. So when you get your degree, try to do a master's degree in respective university. At this very moment now, I would advise these potential students to do a master's degree in Japan, China, or Korea. If they really want to go to Europe, my advice would be go to Germany, because Germany is like the engine of the European Union.
Thank you so much. So the next final question. So what are the difficulties and problems in legal systems in Spain and also in Uzbekistan, and what are ways to develop the legal system in those countries?
All right. In Uzbekistan, you don't have big legal problems because you are still developing your constitution. The constitution is alive. It's a body which you have to implement every single day. You see, we can say now, after 30 years, that Uzbekistan is far more democratic, for example, than 30 years ago. In terms of human rights, you are far more developed than 30 years ago. So I wouldn't have any big issues, big complaints about Uzbekistan. We are developing quite well. For example, the amount of international universities or the amount of good local universities. You see, this 30 years ago, we never thought that we were going to reach this level. So Uzbekistan is developing, slowly, but it's developing. In terms, in my country, for example, it's completely different. Our constitution is not working anymore. It's too rigid. It's static. We need to change it. You see, we are not developing anymore. You see, so we need to have big changes in a short period of time. We have far more political problems in Spain than in Uzbekistan. You see, in Spain the market has been established, but we still don't understand how to live with each other. So it's the time for Spain through constitutional changes, I believe, to make us to feel that we are in the same boat. All right. Something that is not happening in Uzbekistan. In Uzbekistan, all of you, it doesn't matter your ethnic origin, all of you feel Uzbeks. You see, in Spain we are not having the same feelings at the moment.
Thank you so much. And this interview is over, and it was exactly 1 hour long. So this interview was with Mr. Carlos Martinez, Honorary Consul of Spain in Uzbekistan. And thank you so much for coming. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for inviting me.
Yes.
Take care.
We will do most technical things. So this was a live YouTube interview, and I will then see how many people join it. This, of course, yes. So.